So I'd like to talk about something that Guru spoke about yesterday, and this is a way that you have an opportunity to get more involved in the ONOS community. So I would be excited to hear your interest as well. So please, if you have any questions or thoughts about what we're about to present in terms of ONOS Brigades, I will be around the rest of the day. Please feel free to grab me, and I will be very happy to talk with you. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about right now. Yesterday, Guru spoke about ONOS Brigades, and this is a way that we are putting some frameworks in place to help the community help drive the ONOS mission forward. And so we are going to have all of the brigade members and leads who are here at the event speak very shortly about what they're doing. But before that, I just wanted to provide a little bit of background about why we put this brigade effort in place, what exactly it is, and what problems it is solving. So I got involved with the ONOS community almost exactly 2 years ago, and it's been really exciting. I mean, I love being a part of an open source community that is growing quickly, and you can see that growth in all sorts of different ways. So one way is just in terms of the people. This is a photo of our first ONOS Build event that was held last year in Paris, and you can see from the group photo we took yesterday, there are more people here than there were last year, so that's really exciting to see us having, bigger and better events. That growth is, also able to be seen in a number of other ways. Guru showed this slide yesterday as well. This is the number of organizations that are involved in the community. And you can see it's been a steady growth. Every month, people reach out and say, we're really excited about what you're doing, and we want to get involved. And that has grown as well. The number of partners has grown. This is another visual of what I just showed. This is the number of collaborating organizations. This has grown. It's very exciting. And then I believe that, Guru also had an image of this. This is a brand new community metrics dashboard that we'll be launching that you will be able to have access to in the next week or two. And we can see a lot of activity in here as well. So, everywhere we look, there's growth and activity, and it's really exciting. But there are challenges with growth. As things scale, things that used to work before don't necessarily work as well now, and we have to address those challenges and fix them. And if we don't, things don't work as well as they used to. So what are those challenges? As the community gets bigger, it's harder and harder to get everybody pointing in the same direction. Having a large community is not necessarily a great thing if everybody's off, doing things in a way where it doesn't roll up and turn into something that is pushing the project forward. So getting people pointed in the same way gets harder and harder as the community gets bigger and bigger. Another thing is when you're new to a community that's grown, it's really hard to know where to start. When a community is small, you can show up and you can get plugged in because there's not that many things to do. But if the community is really big and there's a bunch of different projects and there's a bunch of different things going on, it can be overwhelming for that new person to figure out where in the world in this map do I get started. So that's a challenge. And then lastly, communicating priorities is a problem. Again, when you're in a bigger community, you might not necessarily hear what the priorities are, so you don't know necessarily what you could do that would have the biggest impact. You here at this event are hearing about the priorities, hearing about the roadmap, but there's a lot of people in the community who aren't here. And so that communicating is harder and harder the bigger and bigger we get. We can try, we're streaming this, we're inviting you here, we're doing our best to communicate, but it's harder as the community gets bigger. So those are problems that I see over the last 2 years as we've gotten bigger. So what I had been thinking about and talking to other people about is how do we address this? And one of my favorite things to do is to look at other open source projects and to take good ideas that have worked in other contexts. So that's exactly what we've done with Brigades. You may or may not be familiar with an open source project called Code for America. They have this concept of Brigades, and this is what we looked at. I saw that it worked really well for them, and let's see if we could do this in our context and see if it helps us. And so what the Code for America Brigade system is, creates a series of community teams that are creating software around specific issues. And then the organization, the Code for America organization, has provided support for those teams in a number of different ways. So it's a very simple model. How do we create teams around priorities that ONOS has? And then how do we support those teams? And we've done that. We launched this as a pilot effort last year, and we have now done that and have had some experience. And I've seen that this does help to some degree address some of the issues that we're having with scale. So it is helping align people around shared tasks. We are able to surface contribution opportunities to new people who are showing up who might not know where they can get plugged in. I think this is also a way that we're making our priorities much more clear in terms of these are the things that you can do that would have the biggest impact to move ONOS forward. And it is giving us a way to provide support to people who show up where we didn't necessarily have a structure in place to support community members in the past. So, with that having been said, that just provides some more information about what exactly Brigades is, because again, you've probably heard the term, and we'll hear the term more going forward, so hopefully that was useful. And with that, I would like each of the brigades who are here to come forward and share just for 2 or 3 minutes what they're doing, who is involved, and how you can get involved in it if that is something that you're interested in. And just a note, these are the brigades that are here, but there are a couple of other brigades that are active in the ONOS community where members aren't here. So there's even more activity going on than is going to be represented here today, but these are the people who are here. So please, please welcome the ONOS brigades.
So basically the Build and Package Brigade was formed to try to address some of the challenges that we've encountered with a growing community of developers. So their mission is written on the slide. Make sure that the ONOS code base, or bases in the future, can be built efficiently, reliably, and consistently in a small set of distributable artifacts that make it easy to distribute and deploy ONOS. So what does that mean, and how can we break this down to kind of show what the various aspects or projects of things that the Brigade's working on? So the first thing is the code bases. As we mentioned yesterday, scaling the community out in one code base with a high quality standard has been a bit arduous, especially for new contributors. And so the Brigade is looking into code base disaggregation, as well as the tooling that's required to make that development process seamless as it is with a single repo. So there's a tool that the core project and Android uses called Repo. There's another build tool that's a sister of Buck. They come from the same parent, Google, or same parent ideas, Blaze at Google, that are better at managing a multi-repo model. On to efficiency and consistency. So many of you that started with us back a few years ago know that builds with Maven took forever, and they were fairly unpredictable, unreliable. We moved to Buck about a year ago now, and that's made the builds more efficient and more consistent. We have a more deterministic process. But as the community scaled, there's been some growing pains, perhaps. This brigade has been tasked with maintaining Buck, as well as providing some enhancements to Buck. They're also going to be looking at finally getting rid of the Maven build artifacts. Once we have feature parity, they've already built in Eclipse support, and they're looking at doing a few other things. And finally looking at, are there other build tools that would do the things that we need in a more efficient way, or with less maintenance on our side. Onto reliability. So for reliability, this means when you download master and try to build it, you get something that works every time. And this brigade is working on looking at pipeline, which is something other projects have used to do parallelization for various stages of the build, as well as implementing STC, so the developer test suite, as part of both the master validation as well as Garrett check-in validation. Onto distributable artifacts, this brigade is also working on maintaining and documenting our release process and making it easy to distribute and deploy. They're also working on frameworks for user and developer documentation. They're looking at a proposal for semantic versioning so that people who are deploying on this have a better understanding of, whether they're going from an incompatible version to a compatible, or they're going from whether the upgrade will be compatible or not from a version number standpoint. And also they're looking at maintaining the integrity of the published artifacts through testing and making sure that these artifacts are available in offline bundles for data center environments or environments in parts of the world that may not have access to public repos. So as for the brigade members, it's a global team. Vishwa is the brigade lead. He's in India. There are members in France and other members in India. Zach is another member from the US, and I've been serving as the Brigade mentor. The Brigade is definitely looking for new members. There's an active Slack channel if you're on the Slack. The mailing list is also available, and there's more detail about the initiatives in the wiki. So, join us.
Thank you, Brian. And that's a perfect segue, because the lovely gentleman in that photo is up next. Luca, can you speak about the deployment?
Where this started from. As you know, ONOS has been extensively deployed all around the world in research networks for over 2-3 years. And this was great. We had great results. So the pros of this is that we got a significant interest from all the research network. We had a great lesson learned, and we had a bunch of new applications created. The bad thing about this is that we did a bunch of demos, but not lots of code was production ready. Nothing was really deployed in production. Plus, everyone was trying to repeat the same effort, create the same kind of application in a different way. So here is where the deployment or development brigade came in. So we essentially decided to create share knowledge and create some essential, reliable software stack on top of ONOS that could be deployed in production in the short term. And this, of course, involves, first of all, layer 2, layer 3 functionalities, which is what, first of all, the research networks were trying to achieve, and possibly layer 0 and compatibility with major standards out there today. So the brigade got people not just from the academia and the research networks, but also from vendors and more recently service provider. We had 33 members in the list, of which 19 were developers that concretely help us to develop and deploy code. So it was lots of fun, which is not bad. It's work, but it's also funny. We met in Menlo Park. We did lots of interesting events around the world. We met in Paris for the previous ONOS build. And of course, there was lots of work going on. So this is the very high-level results after a year of work. These two guys created a fantastic new application that is now deployed in different places around the world, including in NCTU, where they come from, which is called BPLS, which basically allows you to create a layer 2 broadcast network on top of ONOS very easily. It's being integrated with the already existing SDNIP application, which is a layer 3 application to provide integrate BGP functionalities into ONOS. And by the way, they did major improvements to SDNIP. Proxy ARP, so the application that manages ARP packets, have been completely redesigned and is now part of the new releases of ONOS. There's been lots of application patterns, including writing documentation, providing good unit tests. Just an example, BPLS has more than 95% of unit test coverage today. Of course, we have system nightly tests running all the time. The hard part was for sure the intent framework. We worked a lot with that, so there was refactoring of major parts of the intent framework. We make it compatible with OFDPA, so now we're able to let for applications like BPLX, for example, work on white box switches today. And we created something, this is something new called ONOS in a box, we called it. So basically now you can install, just because now the intent framework is compatible with the OFDPA, this allows you to install ONOS and BPLS directly on an edge core switch and run ONOS on top of it. And this was a contribution very valuable as a migration path for service providers and research networks. All this has been extensively deployed. As I said, NCTU is just an example, but the same happen all around the world. And of course, don't have to add that we made lots of new friends, and it was a very fun journey. So I really want to thank them for all the help. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Aiwa to speak about the dynamic configuration brigade.
So for the dynamic configuration, as has been said many times, in ONOS there was a huge effort on the bringing up the control functionalities, but there's also a great need of the configuration part of the capability into the ONOS platform, especially now everybody moving towards a model-driven interface for the northbound and southbound of the controller. So that's why we are setting up this dynamic configuration brigade to create a tool, complete the tool chain, and a logically centralized data store to support all the needs. So in this dynamic configuration brigade, what we have, our goal is to develop a full set of YARN toolchain and data store management functions for dynamic configuration and the provisioning of various types of devices and also network services across a single domain, across multiple domains. The current status of the development is over the past couple of releases, we have released a pretty stable YARN tools, toolchain protocol adapters for RESTconf, and also a distributed YARN data store. And this is done in the last couple of releases. And personally, I have been working with several other projects that uses this YARN tool and dynamic configuration data store. It has been proven to be pretty stable and can support the needs from many aspects. Although there are still many new functionalities that needs to be built. So we are currently working a lot on the optimizing the YARN tools and introducing the support for YARN language 1.1 support and adding other functionalities like RESTconf notification, the data store enhancement, and many other features. So the brigade has a wiki page which is listed there, and you can find more information about the goals. And we also post weekly meeting notes on the wiki page. So, and there's also a mailing list, and feel free to join the mailing list. So we have a big group of brigade members coming from vendors and from the community as well, and from carriers. As my company, Huawei, has invested a huge amount of effort into this dynamic configuration tools. And as you see, the members from Huawei includes many people from North America and the headquarters, and also India Research Lab, including Patrick, me, and Gaurav, Henry, etc. Too many names to name, but and also from ON.Lab, including Thomas as the architect, Ray, Brian, Jordan, and from other vendors and carriers from NEC, from Fujitsu, and from Verizon. So many people in the brigade. Excuse me if I missed one or two names, but this is the group of members that we work together to bring all the functionalities in place. What we still need to do is, as we lay out in the roadmap, we still have a lot of development and testing, and also support various types of models. So we would really like to welcome everybody to work together with us and consider joining the Dynamic Configuration Brigade. Feel free to send us a message and post your responses on the Dynamic Configuration Brigade mailing list. And as a important feature in ONOS, I think it's very important to hear feedbacks of this tool being used and especially being deployed or adopted by both like community projects and open and commercial projects. This would greatly help with our development of the feature and understand the needs and what are missing from this tool chain. Again, I'd like to thank all the Dynamic Configure Brigade members. There are too many names in there, so if you are here, raise your hand and yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite John to speak about gRPC Brigade.
So this gRPC Brigade has been formed just for maybe a couple of months ago, so like 3 months or 4 months ago. So it's pretty brand new, like brigade, and it seems like so as you know, ONOS has many like northbound interfaces, including REST and GUI and etc. And we are now sort of like suffering by the performance issues because REST API is really okay, but the performance is not that good if we want to insert a lot of like flows and the things into through the ONOS. So gRPC actually is the technology invented by the Google that can help us to further improve all the performances, and especially in northbound part. Also, we are doing this southbound a gRPC thing by a P4 group. So the goal of the gRPC Brigade is provide high-performance northbound API and to all platform applications. So as you know, we are so many like all platform applications that want to work with this ONOS, right? So we would like to provide a high performance to all these open applications. So for the short-term focus, we would like to support gRPC as a northbound interface, and we would like to create a handcrafted message type to provide the access to the system like services, and which is very similar to current REST, but it can provide a way much better performance and so on. For the long-term focus, we would like to add more support for automatic code generation for ONOS service API. So we have so many ONOS service APIs being exposed to the northbound. So now, for now, we just manually add these gRPC interfaces, but for the long term, it would be good to auto-generate a whole bunch of the gRPC interfaces using some code generation tools, so that if there is some changes in the northbound API, then part can be automatically being exposed to the REST API without doing some manual coding. And also, we would like to explore the possibility to enable the gRPC for east-west communications. So now we are using the cryo to do the east-west communication, but maybe for long term, it would be good to use gRPC because it sort of provide better performances. And this is the brigade members we have. So actually, I and Aaron sort of like co-lead the entire like brigade, but unfortunately, Aaron just went to Apple, so now I'm the only guy who tried to lead this brigade, and we have several like brigade members from various like vendors, like from ZTE and Inspur, and also from ON.Lab as well. So yeah, here I think I'm sure that there's maybe one or two like brigade members in this place. So Frank, could you raise your hand? So yeah, he is the guy who is from Inspur and trying a lot and help us to build this gRPC like a brigade and so on. And we have three like ZTE like engineer actively like engaged this brigade and did a lot of like contributions in terms of like code and testing. But unfortunately, they didn't like attend the ONOS build this time. And we also have Shivani from ON.Lab, also did a really great job on helping us to do this gRPC thing. So I would like to just briefly go over the entire architecture of gRPC like services for northbound. I would like to give a more detailed like stuff in the afternoon. Like we have dedicated like a sort of like a ONOS basic session just for gRPC. So gRPC, in terms of northbound gRPC, we need to consider three types of things. One is a protobuf model. So this protobuf model is a sort of new, like a binary formatted like a model, can be used to serialize and deserialize the gRPC request and response. And so as you can see here, we have a ONOS core and the ONOS service API here, and then we gonna create this gRPC northbound layer, and this layer gonna serve as a gRPC server, and for example, ON.Lab application like this, which is not part of ONOS, for example, can create their own gRPC stuff and can communicate with the gRPC server, what we have in ONOS, and through this HTTP2 connection with TLS like the security and guarantee. And also we have created a bunch of like a translation utility, because there are so many like translation jobs need to do to translate this gRPC model into ONOS like the original like a data model. And this job is quite tedious, and it's just a matter of like translating something. So we already added a lot of sort of like a translation utilities and so on. So, and based on that, you can create these gRPC services and so on. So yeah, for the details, I'm gonna expose maybe later on in after the session. And yeah, so this is all. So thank you guys to listen to my talk, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I'd like to introduce a brand new brigade that is getting started for in-service software upgrades.
Okay. So as we heard yesterday, deployment is very critical to what we're trying to do. So one of the functionality that is needed for that is ISSU. So the objective of the brigade that we're forming is to design and implement in-service software upgrade support on ONOS, right? And what we want to do is make sure that the upgrade process does not impact existing services. So that's a critical element of this. In the short term, what we want to do is support state changes, right? Upgrading state across the different nodes in the cluster, be able to support modifications to the core and applications. So what you're going to see is as we go from different versions of ONOS, they're going to have changes in terms of the stores. So stores may end up using different primitives for consistency or changes in application logic. So what we want to be able to do is in the short term be able to extend or to support that. In the long term, we're looking at rolling out a new protocol to support ISSU. And as part of that, we want to take into account the ability to roll back. So who's working on this? Our brigade lead is Jordan Halterman. He unfortunately was not able to join us here because of family obligations. Another member, Shivani, you've heard she's involved in other activities like gRPC. We are looking for new members, so we've got quite a lot of work to do, and so could definitely use the help. So there is some initial planning in place. The plan is to start meetings next week, so if you're interested, attend the session later today to learn more about the protocol that we're looking at supporting. and see where you can help out. So where we're currently at for this. So initial work was done in the new release, which is the 1.11 release to support portable serialization. So what this involved was adding compatible serialization to our cryo in terms of what we're doing, and then also add support for cryo serialization in our primitives. We also added versioning support to the RAF logs and some config files to support backwards compatibility. A proposal was also provided for ISSU to address some of the concerns, right? So being able to support applications as their logic changes, how do you make sure that as you go between the old version to the new version that your updated states aren't clogging each other. So there's some plans as part of the proposal to address some of that. So this was presented to the TST last week. So as I've noted, join us for the afternoon session on this, and then we can go into this in more detail. So where do we need help? We're looking for people with a desire to work on distributed systems. We want to be able to leverage the community, so there is help needed in all areas, right? Development, documentation, testing. We'll start with mostly a manual process initially as we work through the protocol, and then of course we want to automate this in the future. So if you can help us with automation, that would be greatly appreciated also. So to learn more about this, go to our wiki, go to the ISSU page, and start reading up on this and start contributing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Stefano to speak about the Security and Performance Analysis Brigade.
So, the brigade is about analyzing the behavior of ONOS. So the attitude we adopted is the one of external people that are not directly involved in the development of the features. And the idea is that we look into, for example, SBI performance or the behavior of the controller under some circumstances. So this is what we put in the wiki page of the brigade, a list of activities so that we have partially already started. So we want to assess controller robustness against failures, both the system and network failures. We have some ongoing activity about the analysis of software reliability against bundle level failures. So we have a poster about that. So there is Kamal here in the room who is going to present it after the break. We have essentially two main areas. The first area is the one about performance analysis against failure and attacks. And another area which is about qualifying the configuration issues and the bugs that are present in the controller in terms of that are exposing attack vectors to against the controller architecture. So these are the brigade members. So as I said, the brigade was created in February. We had a workshop in May in Paris. People which are in the brigade are mostly from Europe, unfortunately, but we are open to welcome more people from Asia and those from the US. So for the moment, we have people from Orange, Nokia, 6, ONF, and we have also a couple of Irish guys, so Sandra and Dylan, and more recently Abdullahim is helping us with some new activity. We have a session this afternoon at 5 p.m., so I will be presenting the first report of the brigade. So we decided to articulate the activities of the brigades against reports that are released every 6 to 9 months. So the first report has been published a few days ago in the wiki page. So we are reporting there the different brigade activities. So we analyzed, for example, Lisp SBI performance. We did some evaluation on the robustness against bundle failure, as I said. We have people from ONF which reported us their activities about the QA test, so there is also a presentation about that later this afternoon. So you are more than welcome to join us later at 5 p.m. for the community showcase. as I said, we are report-driven. So now the first report has been published. We are planning to do the next one. So that should be on the M and N releases. The new analysis activity will start especially in November. So before that, we'd like to prepare the agenda of the next analysis. We have some proposal already on the table, so you are more than welcome to make proposals and to propose, for example, something you would like to see done by the brigade, and we are calling for proposals and also for commitments, so people that have nice ideas and are ready to get involved and run with us those analyses. So we have set this deadline of October 15 to collect the proposals. So feel free to first read the report and then contact us on the mailing list for proposing new activities. So again, we have a detailed presentation of the first report this afternoon at 5 p.m.
Thank you, Stefano. Just a few more brigades to talk through, and so I'd like to invite Carmelo next to speak about the P4 brigade. So please welcome.
So I'm sure many of you know what P4 is, but in case you don't, the network data plane is becoming more programmable every day. So you have programmable ASICs, FPGAs, NPUs, software switches, and P4 is a programming language that allows to define and program the packet processing pipeline on the switches. So the goal of the brigade is to make ONOS aware of this P4 programmable data plane and allow operators to take full advantage of it. So it seems like a broad scope, so we decided to divide it into short term and long term. For the short term, our goal is to enable runtime control of P4-enabled devices using P4 runtime, which is a protocol for runtime control developed by the P4.org API working group. We also plan to add support for configuration via GNMI and OpenConfig models. And also, we would like to add support for P4 in a way such that not only new applications, new ONOS applications, but also existing ones can work with any P4 programs. And we do this by a manual mapping of ONOS constructs to P4. For the long term, we're planning to work on new exciting use cases like BNF hardware offloading, embedded telemetry, and a fabric that is based on P4. We plan to rethink completely the northbound API to enable the full potential of OpenFlow, and that's because ONOS was initially designed around the assumption of a fixed function data plane abstracted by OpenFlow. Now with P4, things changes completely, so this change affects also the API that we expose to application today. We also would like to make ONOS able to understand P4 programs, such that we can offer this automatic ONOS to P4 mapping, and you can just plug your push your P4 program to ONOS, and all existing application can work on it. And maybe a little bit forward-looking, we also plan to find ways to optimize or auto-generate P4 programs based on applications and traffic workload. So where are we at today? Today, if you run ONOS, you can find that ONOS support P4 runtime. We offer support for things like device discovery, table management, packet in-out, and port statistics. There's a new PI framework that lays on top of the northbound, and it's basically a bunch of classes and services, classes to model protocol-independent entities, which is different from the protocol-dependent classes that you have today in ONOS, that are used to model things like arbitrary match and actions, counters, tables, so far so on. And then we have services that add in the management of this P4-enabled devices. For example, you can now deploy a new P4 program to device, or we offer ways to translate ONOS flow rules to P4 program-specific table entries. We have new device drivers. We offer support for BMV2, which is the P4 reference software switch, and we also offer an integrated Mininet ONOS BMV2 dev environment. So today you can easily run Mininet with a network of BMD2 switches controlled by ONOS, so you're able to test new features in a matter of seconds. So I was working on this. We have many members spread around the world, mostly US, Europe, and Asia. Some of them are here, some of them not. So I would like to thank Andrea, who's here, Brian, Frank. Where's Frank? Travel from China. Good, Frank. Great contribution from Frank. Jian from ZT was not here. John Wan is here. Kat, Tom were not here. Yan, who's not here, and you. What we need help with, we're looking for people with knowledge of both P4 and ONOS. That's because we have a lot of things in our roadmap. As I was saying before, we plan to keep working on P4 on time and then support for P4 on time. We want to add support for things like groups, meters, device mastership. We want to add support for GNMI for configuration, and we want to we're planning to work on new use cases like Fabric.P4, INT, and BNF fire overflowing. And finally, we would like to enable the possibility to dynamically swapping the P4 program running on the device. If you want to learn more, if you want to take part in the brigade, this is the wiki. You can find there the mailing list. But also, if you want, you can stop me or other members of the brigade. Some of you have done this in the past day. They've been asking me how they can contribute, what are we planning to work. So if you're interested, please feel free to stop me. I'd also like to spend a few minutes to talk about the P4 Brigade work days that were held here at Samsung right before ONOS Build on Monday and Tuesday. This was an event sponsored by Samsung and the Korea SDN FE Forum. I would like to thank again. This was actually the first time that some of the brigade members met in person after 4 months of working on this. It was also an occasion to work together, discuss about next steps, and we also held a tutorial in which we gave talks about P4. This is Andrea gave talks about P4 supporting ONOS, and we also decided to do 2 hours in zone activity, and it was fantastic because we had great interest. There were around 50 participants that were running the tutorial exercises on their laptop, learning how to use ONOS to control network of P4 devices. And there were both people from academia, students interested in using ONOS for their research project, and also operators interested in using ONOS and P4 to provide new services. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmela. Great to see the photos of the P4 Brigades Work Week. Next up, I would like to invite Abdulim to speak about the Teaching Brigade.
So, in fact, I'm an associate professor at the Cedria Engineering School in France, located in 5 cities, mainly I'm working in Paris. The idea of the brigade is very simple. We started during the discussion at the last ONOS Build. I remember that people from Nokia and NEC and others companies say that it's difficult to find people, mainly young engineers, that are ready to work immediately for providing design solutions. Because we need mixed profile between people who are developers and aware of all the new technologies in networking, mainly virtualization, data center architecture, etc. So as a guy from academia, I said, okay, what if we can do it? So let's try to prepare some materials and training materials organized in a modular way to help people to get started and to get involved and to build their own mixed profile to be ready to work for any SDN solution in the future, and mainly for ONOS-based products. So, in fact, as any open source projects, we have plenty of documentations available on the web. But for newcomers, they don't want, if we take the map that David just presented previously about the metro network, we don't know where we are and how to go. So we know that we want to learn, we are motivated, but we don't have any idea how to start. So the basic idea of this brigade is to help you to find your place and to find your start point and to go straight toward your objective. So the goal is really to provide and reorganize open source materials and create others in a modular way for different levels. We start now with the 3 levels: beginners, network engineers or administrators, and developers. So for the short-term focus, we start to build what we call it the big image document, a modular index for all the related technologies for virtualization, programming skills, basic networking skills, ONOS, the related to core technologies like Docker, OpenStack, etc., and all the DevOps, Ansible, Vagrants, etc. And our ultimate goal is to provide a certification center, so recognized by ONF and its partners mainly, and later the collaborators if they are interested. And in this direction, we have a lot of works, and any help are more than welcome. So, as member of the brigade, we have people from different backgrounds. We have professors at universities like Elisa and Stefano. We have expert engineers, RD engineers like Lefteris and Andrea. We have people from ONF, expert in certification in the past like Timon. And we have a lot of students who are doing the good work. So if you are, let me take about what we have done for the moment. We started with the modular index of the first level. So put models organized in separate modules. So we have complementary modules like network basics, programming skills. We have lab environment and DevOps. And we have 3 key modules. One about virtualization, one about SDN basics, and one about ONOS. So we have some modules more or less are done. We created materials in form of videos, slides, tutorials, with virtual machines. And we have run yesterday 3 sessions for 4 hours. So I was so happy because last ONOS build, we were just discussing the idea. And today, the dream is realized. So we ran really 3 long sessions to help the newcomers to get involved with ONOS. In Paris, at my engineering school in last May, we ran our first kickoff workshop for 2 days. Lefteris, I think he's tired because yesterday we did a long presentations and great work. And later, I think he did some party maybe, I don't know. So later, after our workshop, the next day, we ran a meetup for beginners and a session about how to develop a distributed application under ONOS for people who are good in Java usually and know a little bit about Karaf, OGI, etc. And as I said yesterday, we were very happy to run 3 sessions at ONOS Build 2017. So to get involved, it's easy if you are a student, a professor, an engineer, director, whatever. So you are more than welcome to share your experience and to learn with us and to discuss with us to improve the documents that we have, to propose new ideas, provide the new materials. Maybe you have already some examples that you have done in the past you want to share. And to get involved is easy, just drop me an email to the brigade list and we will be happy to integrate it. So here you have the link to the slides, where you have the other links that I presented. You have the image and you have the wiki page here to know at which date we have our meet, etc. So thank you again. And if you have any questions, you can grab any member of the brigade and ask us any question. Thank you.
Lastly, I'd like to invite the members of the Virtualization Brigade to speak. First, Yoon-Soon was going to speak about the status of the brigade, and then Joanna would speak about the Virtual Brigade work days they've held earlier this week. So please, welcome.
And now we have an announcement. Now we finished season 1 Virtualization Brigade, and from this week we start season 2 Virtualization Brigade. So if you have after listening to this presentation talk, and if you are interested in virtualization, please join us, our brigade. So our objective of the brigade is very simple. We will deliver a creation management virtual network to users. This is our clear and simple goal, but here is a more many factors, such as we need some APIs and management interface algorithms. So to achieve this kind of objectives, so we define short-term and long-term focuses. So as a short-term purposes, we need to define virtualization API, how user can access our subsystem, and also we need some design some service interfaces and services there. And then we need some translations. So you know that virtualization is a somewhat concept with connecting the user and the physical resources, but it looks like more a user can use entire network and entire resource spaces. So to do that, we need some more sophisticated algorithms, such as translation or embedding algorithms. And then we need our little bit ambitious goal is we need to support some more protocols, not only OpenFlow, we need to support people or netconf, and like that. And then as a long-term focus is we also need to more activities, such as we need to connecting our virtual network with the outside world, and also need some more optimized and efficient algorithms to manage it and embedding virtual network. And also we introduce somewhat new features, such as called snapshotting. We can suspend our virtual network and resume then some near or long future. And the last goal is we need to integrate our virtualization subsystem with OpenStack. You know that OpenStack is nowadays is a hot word, buzzing word everywhere. So clearly we will support OpenStack for our system. So this is our team members. Our team consists of the 8 core developers and the 8 test and validation members. So I know that here is many virtualization brigade member is here. So please attend and come to this stage. Okay, including the season 1 brigade members. So. So our mentor is Thomas. You don't mind to come to the stage and give us a few words about our brigade? Okay, so brief status of our brigade. We just finished season 1 for ready for season 2. So we implemented a lot of things, such as virtualization interfaces and services and simple embedding and translation mechanisms, also including the dedicated service APIs for virtualization system. So I will turn over the microphone and please say introduce and then okay. Introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm the brigade member, and I think that it is more than enough of introduction. So, Nikki.
I'm Nitya, and I represent Siena, and so I work for the OpenFlow agent as part of virtualization.
Hello everyone, my name is Eric Tang. I'm a new member of the brigade. I enjoy working on network virtualization. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Han-Yun Han from Kyunghee University in Korea, and I am old member of Virtualization Brigade. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone, my name is Toyomi, and actually I attend this brigade as a new member in the season 2, and actually nowadays I'm attending to implement the external connectivity for virtual network. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Thomas Waczyska. I helped sort of launch the brigade with Brian Stanky and Claudine Chu. So I was acting as a member, sort of a mentor of the brigade.
Thank you, everybody. And unfortunately, our season 2 leader, Claudine Chu, cannot attend this event due to she is a personal task. But I hope so. He will do a great job. And so I will update briefly what we've done so far in season 1 brigade, virtualization brigade. So we support obviously we needed to support multi-tenancy, and we also separate our daytime control plane from the ONOS core. For the virtualization, so each virtual network is perfectly isolated from the other and also physical management system. And also we support distributed architecture to distributing the workload and more high availability. And also we prepared to support heterogeneous networks such as people or netcomp, maybe not legacy networks. And also we support you can learn virtualization applications as you learn normal ONOS application in ONOS platform stack. So we defined and implemented service APIs virtual network. Okay, so this is what we've done in season 1 brigade, and the more detailed talk will be delivered in this afternoon. And Giovanna will update you what's going on, what will happen in season 2 virtualization.
Okay, so as I said, we had brigade season 2 meetup. And as Johnson said, we brigade had fluctuation of members, and some of our core members are not able to participate anymore. And there are also 3 new members, 3 new core members, including myself. And here I'm speaking actually instead of Claudine, our brigade leader, who participated remotely at this meetup. And we use this time to get to know each other, because some of us meet others in person for the first time. And besides that, we did a recap of season 1, actually what was done and what was not done, and we have detailed analysis of virtualization layer. And on the second day, we also clarified and defined season 2 goals in great detail. We analyzed how to support external controller, actually how to enable external connectivity, and how to expose virtual network as pure open flow network to external controller. Of course, we shared personal experiences, best practices, and had fun. And that is all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all of the brigades. If we could have one more round of applause, please.